made a nuisance of himself. Odin never did anything except take one front paw and use it like a hockey stick and knock that little dog out of the picture. Just swat him. That got rid of him in a hurry. He never hurt one. But he went everywhere with us, in restaurants, hotels, everything. Nobody wanted to try to throw him out.
If you had to do it again, would you do it?
Well, under the same circumstances, yeah. I was only about 21 years when I first got involved with it, 21 or 22. I was 22, I guess.
In 19...
34. I was born in 1912. It was the advantage to me on that job. I told him I would go with him if I could build the sound car without any interruption to suit myself and not be answerable to anybody for what I put in it or how I did it. And Lynch promised me that. He said, if you go with me, you can build your own sound car and whatever way you build it. I said, who's going to pay for it? He says, we'll find somebody. And that's the way it was left. So the first few weeks we used equipment that was rented. And then we built our own car and we had our own equipment in it. So otherwise I would never have had an opportunity to do that. And I also did all their radio spots and radio ads, wrote their radio interviews, and did a lot of the interviews. If they had an interview scheduled for Lynch, and Lynch was out of town, well, I'd do it.
Did you do that for Teeter as well?
I never would for Teeter. I don't know whether he would let anybody do it or not. It never came up. But with Lynch, if anyone promoted any free time or anything, we wouldn't waste it. If they had scheduled an interview for Bob May, I'd be Bob May. If they had Buddy Toomey, I would be Toomey, whatever. Anyway, we filled that radio time.
It sounds like, what with Lucky wanting you to come back, it sounds like he was fond of you.
Well, he knew I told him the straight truth, no matter whether he liked it or not, and he knew he could depend on me. If I said I'd do something, I'd do it. He deliberately tried to make me move when I was filming from the track. He came within 6 inches of me, and I wouldn't move, and that impressed him. Because where am I going to move? How do I know where he's going to go next? Any move I make might be in the wrong direction. I might just well stay where I was.
He hit you once, didn't he?
No, he didn't hit me, but he knocked me off a fence. And on the way down, my ankle went in between two of the fence palings. I scratched up my ankle on the fence, but he didn't hit me with a car.
When was that?
First show, 1934. First time I ever worked with Teeter.
You were there to do pictures?
We got it on film somewhere. It may be on that big reel up at Toronto. Got a shot of the car hitting that fence.
The fence you were sitting on?
Yeah, I hung on to the camera when I fell. I'm not going to drop a $600 camera.
And it was, I guess, that day that you most impressed Lucky Teeter?
Well, of course, I repaired the sound car that day. That was a big thing for them, because without that sound car, they're hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Teeter had hired mostly fellows from the hills of West Virginia, motorcycle riders and everything. And I don't think there was a high school diploma in the whole crowd. And he had never had anybody with him except professional men like Ted McCandless and Bill Powell and Pat Purcell, who could write or read, really.
Pat Purcell was mostly a promotion guy?
Yeah.
Tell me I know you've got a saying you use about Lucky Teeter strutting.
Oh, I say you could strut sitting down.
Yeah, that's I've heard you say that quite a bit. Oh, that's the first time we got it on tape. About how he was the only guy.
He was so cocky. Well, he was good. He was tough and he was quick. At one time, he was welterweight boxing champ someplace. I can't remember where that was. And you saw a picture of Tom Siemens. He was a big, husky guy. And he talked Tom into putting the gloves on with him one day just to spar around. And Tom did. And Teeter hit him and broke 2 ribs.
2 ribs?
Yeah, he hit him right in the chest and broke 2 ribs.
Huh.
He could hit like a pile driver. Another thing he could do that I never did figure out, he could light a wooden match and throw it lit into a bucket of gasoline, and the match would go out like he threw it in water.
Huh.
I don't know the trick he used on that, but he had a way of doing it. He could do it 7 out of 10 times. Every time I tried it, it'd catch fire. But Teeter was strong and he was quick.
I guess that's how he was able to roll that car every time.
Yeah, he could have twisted the steering wheel right off of it. He had power. But Lynch had finesse. I could ask Lynch if he was doing a jump that he'd never even done before. And I said, I want to know where you're going to hit, where you're coming down. And he'd take his boot and make a mark on the track, and you can count on that. That's where he was going to hit. I never could do that with Teeter. I never got as many pictures with Teeter because I didn't have a chance.
We've gone through another roll of tape already. That was a quick hour.
Yeah. Well, I think you must have everything.
I think I do. I'm just kind of running on fumes now. We've covered everything so thoroughly. You've been marvelous. You've got an amazing memory. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, no problem.
I hate to leave.
Well, I hate to see you leave.
Yeah, I wish I could just buy a house or down the street and move in.
I got a house you can move in.
Yeah?
I'm serious.
Where?
Right where the shop is. Do you notice that little bungalow out?
Out in the front?
Yeah. That's mine.
Maybe I should move down here and start a...
You can move in there whenever you want to.
I could start making films about everything in Ohio.
You sure could.
The floods and the fires and the...
Boy, I know the ropes. I can get you in. I'm serious.
You probably do know everybody. I don't doubt it.
Of course, you have to do things, maybe, like carry the camera and walk through a burning building.
Do I? I guess I'd have to get a haircut first.
No, you just wear a hat.
Why do they need somebody down here to make?
Well, over at Worcester, they build fire nozzles.
Mm-hmm.
And they built one that makes fog instead of squirts of stream.
Mm-hmm.
And is designed primarily to put out oil or gas fires.
Chokes out the air?
Yeah, it shuts the air off. See, if you have a pool of gasoline or oil on fire, if you look close, the flame is 4 to 6 inches up above the surface. The fire is not on the surface. So if you can shut off the oxygen in the area between the surface and the fire will go out instantly. It has no oxygen. And that's what this fog nozzle does. But they didn't know how effective it would be on solid fuel. So they got this old barn of a house and set fire to it, and they wanted pictures of it. I took the damn camera and walked through it while it was burning. And we learned. And you know, there are a lot of things you never think of. They sold dozens of those nozzles out in West Texas in sheep country, and they looked at the map and there weren't any towns to speak of. Couldn't figure out what the hell they're doing with them out there. They were using them to get the ticks off of sheep.
Oh, yeah?
Instead of running them through a solution in a trough, they run them down a runway and hit them with this fog nozzle. And that killed all the ticks and didn't hurt the sheep.
Huh.
They designed a special nozzle for that, and it was a little smaller. Didn't take quite as much pressure. First one they made, you had to have a pumper that could put out 300-400 pounds of pressure. But after that, they got one made that didn't need that much pressure.
What was this car, this Roadster? Not the Whippet, but the other one? The coupe?
Oh, that little one?
Yeah.
That's a Willys. 1936 Willys. Americar, they called them. They made them in sedans and coupes.
Have rumble seats?
No, wasn't big enough.
Mm. You buy that new?
No, I bought that. That car had a special, they had a hellacious big trunk that you didn't believe because the car looked so little. But they had a special tank built in it, and they were running liquor down from Canada. And the sheriff caught them, and they impounded that car for 1.5 years. I bought it, it was just like new, but it wasn't.
You didn't take it on the road, did you? With the show?
No. That was my personal car, my family car.
It's a beauty. Did it have a back seat?
No, no back seat. It was just a trunk.
But it was just you and Bev and Patty then, I guess.
Yeah. But that engine later became the first Jeep engine.
Flathead engine?
Yeah, and then they redesigned the engine, made it into an F-head. Same bore and stroke, but it had 10 more horse. That one was 60 horse. The flathead engine was 72.